a clip to get into with all the Charlie Kirk stuff. Yeah. And, you know, for me, I guess the minds go in different places with these kinds of tragedies and situations. And for me, I'm kind of more the person that wants to examine the reactions versus the actual events. Mm-hmm. The events are baked into life, the assassinations, the plane crashes, the car crashes, the weird tragedies, the cut down in their prime, cut short, you know, that kind of stuff. It's sad, and I'd like it to go away, but it's kind of baked in to me. You know, we were talking Beatles, you know, John Lennon gunned down in the streets. Why? You know, it's like, yeah, I don't know why, but it seems to be baked in to our culture. All cultures, really. Just the tragedy and the sort of random tragedy of life. And so to me, when something like that happens, I tend to like focus on like our society and how we react and what we do, you know? And like when John Lennon gets gunned down in cold blood, then appropriately the following Sunday, you know, 250,000 people show up at the park and light a candle. That? Yeah. You know, and they play Give Peace a Chance, you know, and then you go, all right, but you don't have people on news channels making fun of John Lennon. You know what I mean? It wasn't acceptable. It was, and you know, we didn't have the internet back then, but I imagine there wouldn't have been a lot of trolls talking shit about John Lennon back then. Now there would be. Now there would be.
But there have been, I don't know if you remember, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, people started to dissect Imagine and take apart like that it wasn't a positive song and the things he was saying. And I'm like, God, what are we doing that we're dissecting Imagine 40 years later? Yeah. Do you know?
I do hate that song, but yes, I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So there's a clip, and then I also kind of realized, so there was some controversy last week, which is the TMZ was doing their live stream, and they heard
raucous
laughter and cheering, and I wanted to kind of break it down. Then they gave an excuse that was because of a car chase, but when you sync up the timelines and you watch the car chase, it's pretty much a Daihatsu charade just going through LA to medium speed. There's no explosion. There's no pit maneuver. There's no rumble strip that popped the tires. There's nothing spectacular. There's nothing going on in the car chase that would elicit a reaction.
Okay.
Like, I've seen a million car chases, and the way car chases work is you just sit there and watch them, and then at some point the guy T-bones a Gardner truck, and you go, whoa!
Yeah.
But you don't really cheer or laugh. No. You just go, oh! You know, ah! You know,
there's no cheering. We don't know who's in the car.
Right.
You're not rooting for anybody, for sure.
Right. So here's the tape, and he's doing a live stream, and you can hear what sounds like the cheers, and we'll just play it.
That the driver is
so my
playing
guess
this
is
cat and mouse
we're going to
game
see
with the
an
CHP,
image of this guy
is so unusual to watch.
possibly in the next 20 minutes. The news conference is scheduled
superimposed over the car chase.
3 o'clock in Utah time, which is 2 o'clock Pacific.
Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to let you know that President Trump has said Charlie Kirk has died.
Go to.
All right, so there's clapping and cheering. Yeah. We'll show you the naked one without the car footage in it, but it's synced up, and the car can't even be seen. It's behind a building, and it's driving at kind of pedestrian speeds down a side street.
That's the 300 underdog got the knockout kind of cheer.
Yeah. Yes. We'll play it to you without the superimposed.
Not what I was expecting him to look like.
Whatever.
He's a lawyer.
Sorry, here it is.
A visual of the shooter if he's still on the loose because they want to find him. So I would think that that's one of the main reasons they're holding this news conference. So my guess is we're going to see an image of this guy possibly in the next 20 minutes. The news conference is scheduled for 3 o'clock in Utah time, which is 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern. Janet, go to.
All right, so it's women. Seems like women clapping and hooting. Now I watch TMZ, and TMZ has the peanut gallery, and there's probably 15 to 20 people around, and there's like 1.5 conservative guys, and the other are just super progressive chicks.
1.5.
I mean, it's not a full 2.
Yeah.
And they're super, the chicks are super motivated liberals, and they're loud. Like, they're like, whoa, you know, you can hear them. And so there's no doubt, and they said, they had to try to walk this back and say they were reacting to a car chase.
Yeah.
Women don't really care about car chases. They don't clap. They don't shriek. They're not that loud. They don't celebrate. So they were cheering the fact that Charlie Kirk had died. Okay. So then you go, well, what is it about that? Well, first things first, I don't think that women, and this is a societal thing, and it's what's going on now, and I've been complaining about for a long time, and no one will listen to me. Everyone thinks I'm a douchebag, but they're not as good at, Lady Gaga aside, the poker face. Like, if you said to one, if they had an arch enemy, and you just told this woman, Veronica's dead, she'd let out a cheer just spontaneously. Like, they're not that good at the keep it turned down. Their emotions are going to get out. So, like, a guy might think, oh, I'm glad Charlie Kirk is dead, but he wouldn't vocalize. He wouldn't spontaneously make that noise in a public environment. You know what I mean? So they reacted. And they're happy about it because they're very progressive and very liberal. And if you think Charlie Kirk is going to help Hitlerian guys seize power and become the president of the United States, then it would make sense for you to cheer on his demise. And I've said this a million times, and it's not an attack against those people. The French resistance were doing the right thing. There was a guy named Adolf Hitler. He was taking over Europe, and they fought him. And they fought him by any means possible. They faked IDs, and they got outfits, and they forged papers and stuff. And we applaud it because we go, you're trying to stop this Hitler who's trying to take over Europe. Well, if you keep calling Trump Hitler, then the people that attempt to assassinate him or assassinate his lieutenants or his generals or the people like Charlie Kirk that were responsible for putting him in office, then it all tracks. It all makes sense to me.
But listen, man, I would say that I am far right of Los Angeles, but I bet you I'm more left than a lot of people who listen to this show. And I really do consider myself somebody who lives in the middle because I'm somebody who's always thought if you have 4 years of Democrats, you should immediately then have 4 years of Republicans because that's what this country is. And people who live in a country, I feel like, need to be heard because when you're not heard and you're pushed underground, what happens?
Yeah.
You come up fucking fighting. All right. So I have always felt, whether I agree with it or not, 50% of the country, which is what we're usually split up in, needs to be serviced. You can't just have, 16 years of Democrats because what's going to come out is a bunch of angry fucking people. You can't have 16 years of Republicans because what's going to come out is angry people. People need to be heard. Yeah. So I think, though, at the same time with the left dehumanizing, because that's what that is. When you're calling somebody Hitler, in that group Hitler, you're dehumanizing them.
Yeah.
At the same time, when all you do is refer to, I hear from people all the time, oh, you're one of the good ones. What does that mean?
Good Jews?
Yeah. What does that mean?
Barely a Jew.
Much sugar.
Half Jew. Yeah.
You're Jew Billy.
I got to tell you, somebody, because I'm full Jewish, but somebody told me the other day, you don't look Jewish. And I was like, you know what? By the way, I'm not offended by that. I take it as a compliment.
Yeah, you could almost be Italian. Yeah. That's great.
Way better than looking like Seinfeld. But point being, if you're on the other side and all you say is radical left and these people want to destroy our countries, it's the same thing. You're dehumanizing an entire group of people, which makes it easier to do terrible things to that group.
Yeah.
Right? So,
no, I agree. That I think the difference, and then we'll be honest here, which is I think it's policy versus person. You know, I live in California, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, Gavin Newsom with this fucking clean needle exchange program. That just means more junkies at the park. Or he wants the girls to be able to use the boys' bathroom and the boys, as long as they identify. That's so destructive, you know. But I don't say he's Hitler.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when your policy is bad, it'd be nice if you change course on your policy, but you don't need to be killed. Your policy needs to change.
Yeah.
But if you are Hitler, then you do need to be put in the ground. And so I would argue, and it's a weird thing because the left goes, we got to tone down the rhetoric, and then they go, he's Hitler.
Yeah, that's
and it's
heavy
like
rhetoric.
you can't do that.
Yep.
You have to go, let's tone down the rhetoric. I think his policies are bad. I think tariffs are going to hurt this nation. I think what he's doing with ICE or whatever. But as soon as you start doing he's weaponized ICE, they're collecting citizens off the street and disappearing them into gulags, you know, well, now that guy's got to go into the ground.
Yep.
And that's where we're at. Do you have that Jen Psaki clip I told you from? Because it's
the rhetoric in general, dude.
It's all heated.
It's so.
I see. I don't know. I'm pushing back because what I'm saying is I don't think the rhetoric is ever going to go away as long as our policies are that far apart.
I agree.
Okay, so you go.
I agree.
You go, I want the border shut down, locked down tight. Then you're like, I'm not going to put National Guard at the border. You know, okay, so we're never going to agree. And there's going to be a rhetoric. There's going to be a rhetoric. But the difference is calling somebody Hitler or calling them a dictator or whatever it is. That's who gets the sniper's bullet. The rhetoric and the disagreement and I said good day, sir, and storm out of the building and stuff, that doesn't require a bullet. Hitler requires a bullet.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And if you're using logical terms, anybody in the War Department of Hitler, like any of the lieutenants or any of the folks that are behind him or trying to get him elevated, need a bullet as well. And that's the problem we're at. So here's the problem. Jen Psaki is up there talking to astronaut Kelly, and Trump releases a statement, and Trump basically says what I'm saying, which is you can't keep calling these people this and not expect attempts to be made on their life. It's not only is it logical, but if it's true, then it is a patriotic move to attempt this. I mean, Hitler. We don't look down at the guy who tried to blow up Hitler with the attaché case and Valkyrie with Tom Cruise. I mean, that guy's a hero.
Worst accent ever.
All right, but a hero for trying to do that because he was Hitler.
Yes.
Well, if you believe this, then it's almost a duty, is what I'm saying.
I hadn't thought of that. Yeah.
I don't think they believe it. I think they say it and a handful of people believe it. But we'll listen to Jen Psaki here.
But he put out a 4-minute video, and I'm not going to play the video. I don't want to play the video. But there was a line at the end that I think I just wanted to raise and read. At the end of this 4-minute video, he says, for years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. And obviously, there's a lot of rhetoric that is problematic. A lot of it is coming from one particular side and from one particular building. But what can be done? I fear when this is an escalation already in less than 24 hours of this shooting.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So she's calling it an escalation.
I have a question, though, okay?
Right. But you can, I'll just say this, like you can go low IQ Jeb Bush or sleepy Hillary Clinton. You don't need a bullet for sleepy.
Agreed.
But you need a bullet for Hitler.
I agree.
And he's saying, stop calling people Hitler. That's what's causing this. And she's going, what's with the rhetoric? Why is that rhetoric?
Let me ask you a question. And I'm curious what your honest opinion is. Why do you think the Charlie Kirk story, I mean, honestly, one of the reasons it's never gonna go away is because we all watched it. And so that makes it so much more prominent in our brains. But why is the Charlie Kirk story bigger than the kids who died in the high school yesterday, or the senator who died at her house in Minnesota? Like, why do you think?
Because he took on an adversarial role with the trans community and the LGBT.
I'm with you. But why is this such a point the arrow moment, as opposed to somebody who came to a senator's house and killed him, or we still have kids dying multiple times in schools? So like, it's such a crazy thing to me. And by the way, nobody should die for having different opinions.
Yeah.
But the fact that kids died in a high school yesterday, and that story, or whenever, and that story is buried, is such a crazy moment in time for me to be like, this is not even top news in our country, is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, it is America.
Well, I mean, going back to, there's a kind of pragmatic side to what you're asking, which is if George Clooney dies on vacation in Mexico, it's a bigger story than Judge Reinhold dying on vacation in Mexico, just because that's who we are.
Right.
And you go, well, they're both actors. What about Judge Reinhold? Well, one's more, on the tip of people's tongues. People know, like the senator and her husband and the dog or something. Like, it's horrible, but I didn't know her before the news.
South Park just lambasted him in a recent episode.
The
South Park did.
Oh, Charlie Kirk.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because Cartman did a whole
because
deal.
There's an element of that.
Got it.
And I think that's always going to be a well-known person versus 12th man on the NBA team. Sort of when Michael Jordan goes, it'll be a bigger deal than the ginger who's schooling up guys at the park. I can't even remember his name.
And the fact that we had 6 different angles of it and all that shit. And
and he's a meme, like an active meme. He has been for years.
Also, I think at age 31, his potential, like a lot of people said, he would have been the president at some point. So like, it is a little bit of that, if you had a time machine, would you kill Hitler kind of thing. Like, if you were super hard left and you bought into Charlie Kirk being Hitlerian and evil and racist and homophobic and stuff like that, then he could be the president in 20 years or 18 years or whatever it is. Yeah. So now we're dealing with that. My thing is all the talk in the world is fine and all the disagreement in the world is fine, and all, calling a J.D. Pritzker fat or something, like, I don't like it, but it's fat. Like, I don't have to kill fat
You don't have to kill
people.
Fat guy,
Right. And so I'm saying keep it all, get rid of the Hitlerian dictator part, which they won't get rid of. But if you get rid of that part, I think you'll have less assassination attempts. That's what I'm saying.
I do think you're like, it's an interesting thing I hadn't thought of, but almost, if you are thinking that this dude is Hitler, you're right. It almost feels patriotic to be like, well, then for the country, like, I hadn't thought about that.
For the good of humanity.
I hadn't thought about that in the danger in calling these people dictators.
Well, and also,
I
I would say this as a guy who knows people on the right and left, and I'll say this. I know who, Charlie Kirk, Dennis Prager, Tucker Carlson, sort of before he really started spinning out in the last few months. But I know, spent time with, had conversations with, I know all these guys.
Yeah.
They're nice guys.
Yeah.
And they're smart and they have a different opinion. But the thing that I'd realize is, like, I disagree with Anderson Cooper and I disagree with George Clooney and I disagree with all these people, but I don't think they're bad people. I know who they are. I don't think George Clooney's evil. George Clooney's a super nice dude. He cares a lot. I think he comes from a position that's not he's a mom who loves the kid, who says, let him eat candy for breakfast. I love him. And I'm the dad is going, you're rotting his teeth out. Give him some fucking broccoli. Yeah. And you're going, he doesn't like broccoli. And I leave him alone. And I'm like, I don't think she doesn't love her son. I feel like she's doing something that's going the wrong direction, and the kid's getting fat. But I never accuse her of not having great love for her son. And there's millions of sort of Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel. There's many people on the left, right? Because those aren't bad people. Those are like family people, and they love their family. They love their nation and stuff like that. The right gets, and so I remember once I was, I watch football here on Sundays with with the boys years ago or something, and I just got done. Tucker Carlson came to town, and I did some stuff with him. And I said to him, what are you doing in town? I said, I'm going home Sunday morning or whatever. And I go, oh, well, I'm going to I'm doing a set at the Comedy Store Saturday night. You want to come by? And he goes, yeah, I guess. I go, well, what are you doing? He goes, I'm just at the hotel. I got nothing to do. And my wife and kids are, no one's here. I go, well, why don't I'll pick you up. We'll go out to dinner. And then we'll go to the Comedy Store, and I'll do a set in the main room, crowded. You know, he's got baseball hat, sunglasses, Woody Allen nose attached to the glasses, scarf, collar pop. He comes trench coat, comes sliding in there, and then so the next day I went to watch football Sunday morning. And so when I walked in, people were like, hey, what's going on, man? What's been going on? I said, well, it was funny. Last night I went out with Tucker Carlson, went to the Comedy Store, which is, you just got to picture Tucker Carlson walking into the Comedy Store, right? And one of the guys, maybe two of the guys, I said, I was out with Tucker Carlson. We had dinner, and then we went to, I just heard my friend, he's just going, bad dude. It's bad dude. And I said, he's not a bad dude. You don't know. By the way, you have a cartoon version of him that MSNBC stuffs up your fucking ass. You don't get to know any of these people. You don't know who Charlie Kirk is. You don't know who Dennis Prager is. You don't know Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity. You don't know who any of these guys are. You just think they're evil. And if you're evil, you got to be stopped. Yep. And that's part of the problem.